Elvis Week. Can we believe it? It's August 2021 and we're here at Graceland. I wish you guys could be here with us, but at least we're coming to you virtually, and you're about to take a virtual tour with me of Elvis Presley's home. Are y'all ready to go inside? I've got my gloves, I've got the keys. Come on, let's head on inside. So Elvis buys Graceland in March of 1957 for a little over $102,000. But the house had been around for years. As a matter of fact, it was built in 1939 by a doctor and his wife named Graceland in honor of Mrs. Moore's Aunt Grace. In fact, Aunt Grace once owned 500 acres of farmland that was located in Whitehaven, Tennessee. And when the family would go out to Grace's land for barbecues and cookout, they kind of gave the property its nickname, Graceland. When the Moores built the home, they decided to keep the name Graceland in honor of Aunt Grace. And Elvis liked it so much, he decided to keep the name as well. Elvis moved in March of '57, and it wasn't just Elvis, it was his mom, his dad, and his grandmother, Minnie Mae. They all called Graceland home. Today, I'm so excited to be able to welcome you into Elvis's Graceland. So follow me. Now, one of my favorite things about walking into Graceland is walking through the front door, because we literally are walking through the same door that Elvis walked through the very first time he saw the home back in 1957, or the same door that he brought Lisa home from the hospital in '68, and the same door that we still greet thousands and thousands of people every day and every week here at Graceland. And I'm so glad I was able to welcome you here virtually into Elvis's home. Now, if Elvis was here, it would not be unusual for him to greet you by doing a karate demonstration here in the foyer. In fact, one of those demonstrations got a little out of hand, and Elvis accidentally broke the chandelier that you see here. This is one of 3 chandeliers he bought for the home in '74. This was made of German cut crystal in the Strauss design, and you can see where it's missing its little string right here. That was Elvis doing a karate demonstration here in the foyer. Now, not only did Elvis entertain friends and family here in the living room and the music room, he did entertain a few celebrities, including one of his close friends, James Brown, who loved to come and jam with Elvis around that piano. As a matter of fact, you guys want to get a closer look at it? Come on. We're virtual, so that means that I've taken my shoes off so we can walk behind the ropes and get a closer view at some of the artifacts. So we're now in the room. All the furniture you see in the mansion is original, which makes Graceland such a unique place, because this is the actual sofa that Elvis had custom made for the home in 1957. It originally was blue. He had it covered white in the '60s, and it's been white ever since. The coffee table that complements it in front is 10 feet long. The sofa is actually one piece. It's 15 feet long. The stained glass windows that divide the living room and the music room were added in 1974, custom made here in Memphis at Lankoff Stained Glass. The peacocks, Elvis loved the birds, and he loved the design, not only because they were very beautiful, but in certain religions, they represent eternal life. In fact, Elvis had some peacocks that used to run around the grounds at Graceland. That was until they started pecking the paint off the gold Cadillac. Then the peacocks went to the zoo, and the Cadillac got a paint job. We're now here in the music room. Now, this piano is a 1912 Knob piano. It was the house piano for the Auditorium North Hall, which is where Elvis would go and listen to all-night gospel sings when he was a kid growing up here in Memphis. A lot of times, not even being able to afford the ticket to get in, he was actually snuck in the back door by a gentleman named J.D. Sumner. Those of you who know Elvis history know that J.D. eventually was Elvis's backup singer. Now, Elvis was self-taught on the piano, and he never really learned how to read music, so he would literally mimic what he was hearing. He would play by ear. Not only could he play the piano, but he could play the guitar. We also even have a violin in the collection. It wasn't unusual for this room to be filled with music at all hours of the night, mainly gospel music, which was kind of Elvis's favorite. It really kind of put his mind at ease. Now, you also really get a good chance now that we can look around at some of the artifacts here in the room, including one of my favorite, which is this mirror. The mirror on this wall used to hang on Elvis's wall in the living room at the home on Audubon Drive. It was moved here to Graceland when the family moved here in 1957, and it has hung here ever since. So there's pictures of Gladys looking at her reflection in this mirror when the mirror was in Audubon. There's pictures of Elvis looking at his reflection in this mirror when it's here in the music room. And that's a few years ago, we had photos of Lisa taken in this room, and she was looking in the mirror as well. So it's a piece of Presley history, as I like to say. Another really cool thing that's in this room, that there's a secret door. Not many people get a chance to see it. You guys want to see it? Follow me. So when Elvis adds the trophy building onto Graceland, he actually had a sliding glass door added so that he could get from the house to the trophy building. And there's a little breezeway that is hidden right behind this curtain. So you see there's a couple steps here. Goes through the breezeway, and then there's another sliding glass door that would lead into what is probably famously known as the Hall of Gold, but that leads directly into the trophy building. So that is how Elvis and his family would get from the house to the other wing of the building, which I think is kind of cool. Also the TV from the Audubon home. I mean, there's just so many really unique things here in the music room that you really don't get a chance to see that close up when you're on the tour path. Now, something else that you guys might want to see, which is one of my favorite hidden artifacts on display, is in this drawer. For those of you who have seen our episode of The Gates of Graceland, you probably have known or have heard me talk about the samurai sword, which still to this day is housed where we found it, here in the living room. What was really cool is that when we first found it, we had no idea why it was here in the drawer. Eventually finding out from Elvis's bodyguard, Dick Grove, that he was the one who put it in the drawer, and it still sits here today. So next time you're here in person, you can tell everyone what's hidden in the drawer. Now back here by the fireplace, the clock above the fireplace was a gift from Elvis's friend and high school friend, George Klein. You also might notice that it is kind of warped here. That is because the flume to the fireplace does go up that side, so the heat actually warped the clock. This is a gas fireplace. There's 3 at Graceland. 2 are gas and 1 is wood burning. The one in the pool room is wood burning. And then also on the wall, right next to the fireplace, is a portrait of Elvis that was done on the set of his second movie, Loving You. It gives you an idea of what Elvis kind of looked like when he bought Graceland in 1957. And just below is a picture of Elvis's parents, Vernon and Gladys. That was taken from their very first professional photo shoot here in Memphis at William Spears' studio. William Spears had just saw professional photos of Elvis, and Elvis had such an amazing time at the studio that he sent his parents there for a photo shoot. And on the back of the original proofs is Elvis's handwriting on this photo, and it says, "I need one 8x10 for the living room." So Elvis personally picked out that picture to sit here in the living room at Graceland. Now, speaking of pictures of Elvis, this one at the base of the stairs shows us Elvis with his natural hair color of blonde. Elvis was born blonde hair, blue-eyed. He dyed his hair black because he thought it brought out his facial features better on film. This picture was actually done in Texas when Elvis was in the Army. They did not allow him to dye his hair while he was in the Army. That's why his hair went back to its natural color. Now, you might think that he's standing behind a chair in the photo, but he's not. He's actually holding a bike rim, and his arm is kind of extended. This is based off a photograph of Elvis shaking the hand of a Tulsa DJ named Rocky, who decided to put on a publicity stunt, and he ride a bike from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Fort Hood, Texas to meet Elvis. As soon as Colonel Tom heard about this, Colonel arranged for the meeting, and the photo was taken, and Rocky gave Elvis the rim of the bike that he rode all the way from Tulsa. And this room here, this would have been Graceland's master bedroom. when Elvis bought the house. Now, buying Graceland was really kind of the fulfillment of a childhood promise to one day buy his parents a nice home and take care of them. And so he let his parents use this room, and his mom Gladys decorated it in one of her favorite colors of purple. She even helped design the poodle wallpaper that you can see in the bathroom to the left, which is probably the cutest wallpaper in the world. You also get a chance to really get a good view of the bathroom and all of the purple decor that's in the bathroom. So as you can see, Gladys really did love purple and its accents. And then across the hall from the bathroom is the closet where we have several of Gladys's dresses hanging. And you can really see that Gladys never really changed. She was always very simple. And even this dress here at the corner, if you look under the sleeve, you can see where she mended it herself when it tore. Even though Elvis could buy her whatever she wanted, Gladys was always very simple. She raised chickens here in Graceland's backyard and never really wanted for much. But Elvis was very doting to her as mom and would buy her whatever she wanted. Now, other things here in the room, because not only was this used by Elvis's mom, Gladys, and his dad, it was also used by his grandmother, Minnie Mae. We do have a pair of her glasses sitting here on the little dresser. Those are Minnie's glasses. And every grandma had a container on their dresser that had everything you could possibly need in it. And this is the one that Minnie had in her room. There's everything in here from miscellaneous buttons to little lipsticks to there's a pair of dice. There's a safety pin. You never know what you would need, but you knew if you needed it, Grandma had it in her dresser drawer. And this is the little container that Minnie would keep. And here's a picture of Elvis. It actually is Elvis at the age of 5. Again, you can see his blonde hair. And another really great thing to look at while we're coming into the room is the views. So this would be the view from, see if I can open up the drape. The view of Graceland's backyard from Gladys's room. So besides this being Gladys's room, it was later used by Minnie, as I mentioned, and then Elvis's Aunt Delta, who lived here until 1993. Delta passed away in 93, and the following Mother's Day is when we opened it up for tours. Now we're going to head back out to the hallway, and probably one of the coolest things that I found here at Graceland, let me see if I have the key, it's right here, is when Elvis first decorates Graceland, all of the walls that have the grass cloth wallpaper on it are this amazing color of blue, and all the trim is done in white. And throughout all of the years of redecorating Graceland and all of the different changes, there's still one room that is still painted in this original blue color. So let's take a peek in the hall closet. So this would have been the coat closet here at Graceland. And the coolest thing about it is that all these years later, this door and this door frame here is still painted the original blue color that the living room, the hallway, and all the former rooms were painted when Elvis first moved into Graceland in '57. It also has great technology. For '57, there's actually a little button up here. So when the door opens, the light comes on. And then when the door automatically closes, the light goes off. But this would have been the hall closet, so this would have been their coat closet. Today we use it for cleaning supplies. We actually clean Graceland 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and we dust twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we're constantly cleaning for preservation and long-term conservation of the house. The chandelier above the stairs is a second of the 3 that Elvis bought for the house in '74. This one was so large, they actually had to bring it in pieces and reassemble it here in the hallway to hang it where you see it today. Even though we are going virtual, unfortunately, our tour does not include the upstairs. This is out of respect and by the wishes of the family. But if we were to go upstairs, Elvis's bedroom is kind of above the living room. His bathroom and changing area is above the doorway, and his wardrobe room is above the dining room. So Elvis's bedroom suite pretty much covers the entire front of the mansion. Above Gladys's room is Elvis's office, and then above the kitchen area is Lisa's bedroom. Behind those blue curtains is another bathroom. So kind of gives you the lay of the land. Now here in the dining room, this is where all the formal meals were served, normally around 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Elvis would often sit at the head of the table, not because he was head of the household, but because it gave him the best view of the TV here in the dining room. That's one of 14 TVs here at Graceland. There's basically one in almost every room. This view of the dining room is really cool. You can actually look and see what Elvis saw from his seat. The table is set with Elvis and Priscilla's wedding china. It's made by Noritake in the Buckingham pattern. They were married May 1st, 1967. The marble floor was added to keep cleanup here in the dining room very easy, but it also came in handy when Lisa was growing up because she could ride her tricycle around the dining room table. And not only do we have the wedding china, but we also have a set of Christmas china that we put out every year, which is stored in the cabinets right here in the dining room. So during Christmas time, if you happen to tour, we normally have a green and gold china pattern out on the table. This is Franciscan china in the Renaissance pattern. And when it's not Christmas, it is stored right in here. But I'll give you a close view at a piece. This is one of the saucers. It's very detailed, very ornate, compared to the wedding china, which is very simple and elegant. We also have Christmas salt and pepper shakers, as well as sugar and cream holders. So lots of fun things in the cabinet. And then these drawers, they're full of stuff. In here is everything you need for the dining room. We've got candles, we've got napkin rings, we've got forks. And then as you go down, you'll find more. This is the setting for the silver. This is where the silver would all be set. More napkin rings. And then in the next drawer, these are the placemats and napkins that go on the table. So everything's cataloged to where Elvis would have stored it, and it's still there today. Now you want to see where all the good food came from? Follow me into the kitchen. Like any good Southern home, Graceland's kitchen is the heart of the house. This kitchen ran like a short order restaurant would. There was always someone in here wanting to make whatever anybody wanted. Of course, there's specialties with the good old Southern foods: fried chicken, fried green tomatoes, okra, mac and cheese is a vegetable here in the South if you're not from around here. It all came out of this kitchen. The first microwave ever sold in Memphis is located here in the kitchen. It's right there in the corner. And this is what's really cool. No buttons, nothing to turn on and off really as far as programming. You have a microwave on-off button and a browner on-off button. And then it's that simple. Pretty easy. Also here in the kitchen, we've got a dishwasher, there's a bread warmer, and there's even built-in bread boxes in the cabinetry. Anybody want a flour sifter? Trash compactors behind here. So really this kitchen was really state-of-the-art for the time. The carpet on the floor is the friendship pattern. It was installed in 1974 as well. That's when the kitchen did its last redecoration and all the dark woods came in, and the carpet as well. And one of the best hidden gems here in the kitchen is not the hidden bread warmer that I just showed you, but it's right over here. So when you're cooking for a bunch of people, you know, you've got 4 burners here and you've got a small little oven, but what happens when you're cooking all of this good food and you need more burners? Well, Tappan, and Elvis had it installed, came up with the best of hidden technology, and that's this right here. Not only do you have those 4 burners there, but this pulls out and you have an additional 4 burners where you can make mashed potatoes and greens and all that other good stuff that was coming out of this kitchen. And I love the built-in cutting board, personally. And then once you're done serving food and everything's cleaned up, you just push it back, little button goes down, and voila, kitchen is back. When you're touring Graceland, you might have noticed security cameras. Well, these are the cameras. These are the monitors here in the kitchen. There's also some in Vernon's office and some upstairs in Elvis's bedroom. The cameras are still in use today. This was a security system Elvis had added in the 60s. So he can kind of see what was going on here at Graceland whenever he was here. Because he really had an open door policy that if you were a friend of his and you wanted to bring somebody out to Graceland, the Graceland was your house too, so you could bring anyone out you wanted to. The only place that no one was allowed to go was upstairs without personally being invited by Elvis himself. But that's how he would look at the cameras and go, oh, George is in the pool room or so-and-so's in the dining room, and he kind of got a feel of the land for what was going on before he came downstairs. Now, before we go downstairs to the basement to go down to the TV rooms, I wanted to take a moment and step here into the jungle room, because this is one of my favorite spots, and it's under this green light. In the 70s, Elvis used this room as a makeshift recording studio and actually recorded 2 albums from Elvis Presley Boulevard, Memphis, Tennessee, and 6 songs from his last album, Moody Blue. When recording, the drummer was set up by the waterfall, and Norbert, the bass player, was set up here in the middle of the room. James was over here by the back door. All the equipment was wired in from the trucks outside, and Elvis would stand under this green light. This was kind of his stage, and this is where he would record. Some of the songs that Elvis recorded in here is everything from the song Hurt to Bitter They Are, Harder They Fall, and the songs Way Down and Moody Blue were recorded right here under this light. We're going to see more about this room in just a moment, but first, let's head downstairs. I want to show you the man cave. Come on. We're going down a mirrored line staircase. These mirrors actually have been here since the 1960s to give the room and the hallway a more spacious look. Now, when Elvis first buys Graceland, basement rooms were not finished rooms. Elvis had these rooms finished, and this is where he would display his gold records before the trophy room was built. But then in the late 60s, Elvis heard that our former president, Lyndon Johnson, used to watch all 3 major news broadcasts at the same time at a bank of TVs in the Oval Office. Elvis thought that was a great idea, and he added 3 TVs here to this room, basically one for each station, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Here, let's go take a closer look. Now, Elvis really wasn't into watching news, but he did like his football, and he could watch a football game on each TV. Now, just above the TVs, there is a pull-down movie screen, which allowed Elvis to watch first-run feature films or home movies right here in the basement. This is a stereo system with a record player that is built into the wall, wired for sound throughout the entire house. And we have part of Elvis's record collection. Now, the unique thing about Elvis's record collection is that you will find very few of Elvis's own recordings in this collection, but you'll find everything from opera to rhythm and blues to gospel to the top charting songs at the time. That's easy for me to say, isn't it? And where do you have and store all of these records? Well, Elvis has about 5,000 records that he liked to listen to. A majority of them are stored in the Graceland archives. But when Elvis had them, he actually had these really neat cabinets built in. And so you could actually store them in here. And there's a few albums that are still stored in here today, including we have Willie Nelson. Who's that? Brother Dave Gardner. Gospel Music in the Garden by the Weatherford Quartet. Sybil Leeks. Exodus, just his musical taste. Jerry Reed. And we got Dolly's right over there, but there's Willie again. But yeah, so this is where Elvis would store his records when he was listening to them. There's also a jukebox here in the room built into the wall, which is wired for sound throughout the entire home as well. So whoever was here in the TV room not only controlled what people watched on TV here in the basement, but pretty much had control of the entire sound system throughout the house and could control basically what everybody was listening to. The yellow, white, and blue color scheme, this came in the mid-70s. And the wall with the lightning bolt is kind of modeled after Elvis's logo, which you guys might be familiar with. Just add the letters T, C, and B to that lightning bolt, and you have taken care of business in a flash. We're now going to head across the hallway into the pool room. Now, each room you're going to see from this point on really has its own kind of personality. The pool room is probably my favorite because it's so comfy. It consists of over 400 yards of cotton pleated material. Now, it took 3 men 10 days to cut, pleat, and hang the fabric. I mean, you can just tell a sound difference just by walking into the room. As you can imagine, that really came in handy when this room got loud and when they were playing pool down here. Now, the pool table has been here since 1960. It's one of the first things Elvis bought when he returned home from the Army, and it's been sitting here ever since. Tiffany lamps were added in 74, same time the stained glass was, made by Lankoff's here in town. Oh, some of the really cool things are actually stored here in this brass container here. This brass container actually is where Elvis would store his pool supplies, including everything from extra billiard balls to chalk to even shuffleboard wax. Now, shuffleboard wax, you ask? That was used to make the cue balls go quicker across the pool table. The fireplace in the room is the only wood-burning fireplace in the house. Obviously, it hasn't been used since the fabric was installed in 74. But the pool table is actually preserved the way it was the last time Elvis was here, including this large tear that was done by accident. One of Elvis's friends was attempting a trick shot that didn't quite work out. It happened so close to his passing that Elvis never had a chance to have it repaired. So we preserve it as is. As I mentioned earlier, the only wood-burning fireplace in the house is this one here in the corner. Now we're about to head back up to the jungle room. To get there, we're going to go down this hallway where we've got some of the necessities everyone needs in a house, like bathrooms and even the laundry room. So we have a half bath here for guests. This is a full bath that goes next to the bedroom, which is off the TV room that was used by Charlie Hodge and Jerry Schilling. It's also used as Christmas storage today. And this is the laundry room. Now, when Elvis buys Graceland, these stairs were here, but they actually led to an outdoor patio. But we're headed up to the jungle room. So in 57, we would really be outside of the house now. Elvis actually screened the patio in first so that Grandma had a place that she could go sit without having to be worried about eaten up by bugs, and a place that she could sit outside in the cool air with big ceiling fans. And then in the 60s, he actually made it into a room. It was always decorated in dark colors, greens and browns, and really became more like a den. It was in the 70s when it took on its own personality, and that's when Elvis bought this furniture at a local store called Donald's. The furniture is made by Whitco Company, and one of their trademarks is hand-carved Polynesian-styled furniture. It's all made out of hand-carved white pine wood, except for the coffee tables. Those are black cypress. The fur is all synthetic, and it was not unusual to find Elvis having his morning breakfast here in the jungle room, sitting in the corner of the sofa, eating his Spanish omelet, his bacon, and drinking his black coffee. Now, besides recording songs in here, the jungle room really was a place to unwind and relax and just kind of hang out. It also was one of Lisa's favorite napping places. In fact, the large chair in the corner was said that where she would like to take her nap. So if she wasn't running around Graceland, normally you could find her curled up there, sometimes watching Sesame Street here in the room as well. So this room actually got its nickname, the Jungle Room, when we opened up for tourists in '82. Prior to that, Elvis just called it his den. And directly behind us is Graceland's original back door. So if you ever come to the Jungle Room and you're wondering why there's stone here and why there's an odd door, that's because that was the original back door to Graceland. And this was an addition to the house in the 60s. And we're going to take our tour outside, and we're going to see where all the fan mail was sent and why Graceland was Elvis's great big playground. Come on, join me. So come on outside and let's see why Graceland was Elvis's great big playground. So now this is where Elvis would go horseback riding, ride golf carts. He had a fleet of snowmobiles that he took the blades off of so that he could actually ride the hills here at Graceland with no snow. He would play touch football here in the backyard. And they also had infamous firework battles where Elvis and the guys would divide up in among two teams and shoot bottle rockets at each other. That was until one of the bottle rockets landed on the roof of the house, and Vernon came out and said, "You boys have to stop that or you're going to burn the house down." So the fireworks had to quit, but that did not stop Elvis from having so much fun here at Graceland. In fact, the back corner of the property is where Graceland stables are, and there were always horses here. Today we have 3 horses. They're all part of a rescue program that Priscilla and Lisa are involved in. But when Elvis was here, there could have been 20 horses here, because if Elvis was riding horses, everybody was riding horses. Just like if Elvis was riding motorcycles, everybody was riding motorcycles. The building at the end of the walkway is Elvis's father's office. Now, this building was actually part of the original land when Elvis bought the house. The Moores who built Graceland used this as servants' quarters. Elvis had no need for that, but his dad definitely needed a place where he could take care of all of the household bills. Vernon also staffed 2 secretaries whose main responsibility it was to keep up with Elvis's fan mail. And at the height of Elvis's career, that could be up to 5,000 pieces of mail a day. We also have Lisa's swing set here in the backyard. And attached to Vernon's office are these 2 doors, which were smokehouses, because the Moores used to smoke and cure meats. Again, Elvis didn't really use it for that purpose. He used them for storage. And then the second room, they used as a firing range. Yes, Elvis loved guns, and he had a firing range here on property. You can see not even Elvis was a perfect shot. If you look closely, all of these little indentions that are cleverly painted white. I'll point a couple out to you. Here's one. Here's a few. Yeah, these are all misses. There's even one in the bottom of Lisa's slot. Boys will be boys. Now the building over here to our left, that's the racquetball building. That's the last addition Elvis made to the property. He had it built in 1975 for $250,000. And then this building here, this is the trophy building. This was also an addition in the 60s. Elvis originally had this built to hold a slot car racing track. The track went throughout the entire building. In fact, the building itself actually slopes downhill, so when the cars would go around the corner, they would go faster as they were going downhill. That stayed in the building for about a year, 6 months to a year, before he ended up giving that away to a boys' home. And then he moved all of his awards that were in the basement here to the trophy room. Because he was very proud of his accomplishments and wanted everyone to see them, but didn't want people to be walking into Graceland and just be bombarded with gold records. But Elvis was Graceland's first tour guide, so if you ever were a guest of his, not only would he show you around his home, but a tour of Graceland also included the trophy building. As we head past the trophy building, you'll see our current public restrooms. When Elvis was here, that was the changing house for the swimming pool. Now the swimming pool, that was something Elvis added to the property in '57. In fact, when he first buys Graceland, besides getting some of the mansion up to speed and cleaned, one of the first things he added was the stone wall, the music gates, and the swimming pool. And there's some home movie footage that you've probably seen of Elvis taking dips in the pool, including diving off of the diving board, which is great fun. Again, Graceland was Elvis's home. This is where he loved to entertain his friends and family and where he could really be himself. Now, our final stop on our tour today on the mansion property is going to take us around to Meditation Gardens. Now, this was never intended to be Elvis's final resting place. But in October of '77, Vernon had both Elvis and his mom Gladys moved here. And since then, Vernon, Minnie Mae, and Elvis's grandson Ben have all been laid to rest here. I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and have a few moments to pay your respects, and I'm gonna meet you on the other side. guys really have enjoyed your virtual tour of Graceland. I've surely enjoyed being your host today, and I hope to see you guys back here in Memphis really soon. But for now, happy Elvis Week, and we will see you guys later.